All right, everyone. So this is just a quick lecture to kind of start you off, really understanding what an argument is. And when you think of argument, you probably think of something like in the presidential debates, where we have people going back and forth, both saying their sides, perhaps getting a little bit heated, and there may or may not be a winner. And this is a type of argument, yes, but it's really not all an argument is. So that's what this lecture is going to be about. So essentially an argument is something that offers a claim, so it offers an idea or an arguable stance, and then gives reasons and evidence to support the claim. You're going to hear me say these a lot throughout this course, evidence specifically and claim and reasons. So some examples of arguments can be things like ads. They are arguments that are trying to convince you to buy something. If you are talking to somebody trying to convince them anything from whether your stance on a particular issue is correct all the way down to where you should go for dinner, that's an argument. And it can be something that is also, a heated exchange between two or more people, or not heated. So it's any type of exchange between people where an idea is put forth and is discussed, and then hopefully a type of resolution is achieved. It's not always achieved, though. So in all of these situations, you are basically given an idea, a claim, and you're asked to evaluate it from your stance. In a written argument, this is going to be your thesis, your theses in this instance. And then you're supposed to look at the evidence to decide, do you agree with that claim? Will you support that claim, or do you argue against that claim? So the basic parts of an argument are, again, an issue, a claim, and support. It's really important. If you offer an idea but don't have any type of support or evidence or reasoning, that's not an argument. It's simply an opinion, and that's very, very different. And a lot of times in essays, this is where a lot of people get tripped up. It all comes back to the evidence. That's why I have it highlighted in red here for you. So the issue is the overall topic that you're talking about. The claim is the point you're trying to make about that topic. So your claim is not that we should have universal health care. Your claim is not universal health care exists. It's that we should have or we shouldn't have universal health care. And then the support is the evidence that you provide that proves what you're talking about. So it all comes back to how well can you prove your side. So there's here's a mini list of good and bad arguments. So a good argument has a clear issue, claim, and support. The bad one has an issue, but it really doesn't say anything about that issue. It's more that person who's at the party who just wants to yell about something, just to yell about something. A good argument is logical and organized, and a bad one, of course, is unclear and illogical. A good one recognizes opposing viewpoints and argues against them respectfully. So a refutation is really, really important in a good argument. A bad one has more emotional appeal than actual logical, rational thinking. There is value to emotional appeal, but it shouldn't be all you do. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. And a good argument follows the basic principle of any essay that you've written. It has an intro, so with a thesis statement, which is your claim, has a body with lots of support and evidence, and then a conclusion. And this can be any type of argument, whether it's a written argument, an advertisement, whatever it might be. All of those elements are always there. You just may not realize it. And then, of course, a bad one offers no support or insufficient support, is unorganized, and doesn't follow that same structure. So if you're going to break it down, the issue and the claim, we're going to talk about that first. The issue, again, is the topic or the thing that you're talking about. It's not the argument you're making about it. It's just the general topic. So again, it can be something like controversial. It could be something that needs a solution. So if, say, the issue is that we need better parking on a particular campus, that's an issue. But the argument could be something like we need to have more parking spaces in X parking lot. Or it can be an idea, just really any idea of any kind. The claim is the point that you are trying to prove about the issue. So, for example, if the issue is the death penalty, you can come up with a lot of different claims. You could say the death penalty is wrong and should be abolished. You could say the death penalty is okay and should be upheld. You could say the death penalty is okay in certain circumstances but not in others. All of these are viable claims. It's just about how you prove them. And then the claim usually, as I said, is part of your thesis statement. However, some claims can be implied. It's really best practice, especially for an essay, to outright state your claim. It's what I'm going to require. You need to state very, very clearly what your claim is, what your stance is, instead of leaving it up to reader to kind of imply what it might be. So all of this comes from Aristotle, and we have three kinds of arguments that come from Aristotle. And he really established three things that you are automatically going to find in any type of argument. And usually this is depicted as a triangle. So you'll see ethos at the top, pathos, and logos on the bottom. So ethos is really the most important thing. And what ethos is, it's an appeal to ethics and reliance on expert knowledge. So what it means is it's self, it's the I. Ethos is you trying to tell someone that your argument has validity because you are knowledgeable about it, because either you have direct experience with it or you are drawing on expert sources, so you have the knowledge base by proxy. So when you have a presidential debate, this is what you see a lot. And I'm going to go to the presidential debate we just had. We have Hillary Clinton's argument was essentially that she should be president because she had tons of political experience. She had been Secretary of State. She was a senator. She'd been in and around politics for 20 plus years. That was her argument. So her argument was saying, trust me because I have all this experience. Donald Trump's ethos was different. Donald Trump's ethos was, I don't have political experience. However, he was arguing that he had the business experience and the business acumen to be a leader, and that he would surround himself by people who did have that experience. And so he would have the influences of people with that experience. So that was part of his ethos. So hopefully that makes sense exactly what ethos is. It's the credibility of the person who is arguing. So why should we believe you? If you're going to tell me that golden retrievers are the best dogs, you have to tell me why you know that. Why should I believe you? If you say, I have a dog, I have a golden retriever, or I have 3 dogs and he's the best one, then I'm going to have more ability to really start believing in your argument. Pathos is an appeal to emotion. So pathos and logos are kind of opposite ends of the spectrum. Pathos is an appeal to your emotion. So it's convincing someone that you are eliciting an emotional response from them. So if you said, we have to go to Walmart on Black Friday because it's tradition and it's what we have to do. That's what we call a pathos or pathetic appeal, meaning you're appealing to someone's emotions, you're appealing to nostalgia. Logos is the opposite. Logos appeals to logic, facts, and reasons only. So logos is where a lot of your evidence comes from. If you said we have to go to Black Friday at Walmart because it's offers, if TVs are half price and we can spend $100 and get 6 things instead of spending $100 and getting, 3 things like usual. That's a logical appeal. So again, the sort of 3 types of argument: ethos at the top, logos, and pathos at the bottom. And then there's 3 kinds of claims that you really need to understand. So when you make your claim, you can have a claim of fact, so something that can be proved or verified with data and information. You can back it up with statistics and information. A claim of value focuses on showing how one thing is better or more desirable than something else. So it's either right or wrong, acceptable or unacceptable, right? So it really kind of weighs heavily on issues of ethics and morality and what is right and what is wrong. A claim of policy offers a solution, one or more solutions to a problem. So a claim of policy basically says we have an issue, we need to fix it. Here's 1, 2, and 3 different ways we can do this. And then you argue from there what the solution, what the policies might be. So support. Support is really, really, really important. When I grade your essays and your arguments, this is what I'm really going to be looking for. Do you have a claim and do you support it with logical reasoning and good appeals to your audience? So a reason is different than evidence. A reason is a statement that backs up your claim. So on their own, they don't do a whole lot. Because if you tell me, again, that golden retrievers are the best dogs because they're big, that's a reason. But that doesn't necessarily convince me because maybe I have a really tiny apartment and I can only have small dogs. So you have to add to your reasoning. You have to give evidence, facts, statistics, opinions, personal experiences, and specific examples. So if you could say golden retrievers are the best dogs because they're big, they have long fur, and they're very intelligent. One time I had a golden retriever who saved my life, da 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 da. That is the kind of thing that gets into evidence, and that's really where the meat of your argument should be. And then emotional appeals are important. Emotional appeals can appeal to physiological needs, so it can be things like things you need to survive. So you should buy, fruit for your child because it makes them healthy. That's a physiological need. It can be psychological, so something like you should buy our car because it'll make you look, younger and cooler in front of your friends. It could also appeal to values. So it could be something that's a principle or a quality judged to be important or worthwhile. So something like you should donate to the Red Cross at Christmas because you're helping to save a life. And it's really important that you don't rely only on emotional appeals. You have to have evidence and reasons in addition to emotional appeals, but they do have some value. Okay, once you've given your claim, you've done your claim, you've added your reasons and your evidence. The last thing you'll do is have a refutation. So you have to be aware that your opinion is not the only opinion. And what you have to do is that you have to acknowledge that there are other opinions out there, but you don't want to just leave it at that. You want to say there are other opinions. However, here's why my opinion is the right opinion or the best choice. So we're giving you an example right here. If your issue and claim is that you deserve a raise at work, your support is that you're hardworking and you've worked for a long time, your opposing view, your boss might come back to you and say, yes, but. He's trying to poke holes in your argument. He could say, other people will ask for a raise if you ask for one and I can't give you one. You say, I understand that may be the case. However, so you acknowledge it and then you refute it. And you say, however, those people haven't earned the raise and I've invested all this time with the company more than them, and therefore I'll take on more responsibility with an increase in salary. That is how you refute an opposing viewpoint. So again, a really good argument anticipates that there are other viewpoints and then reacts against, and then acknowledges them and then refutes them. All right, so real quick, last reminder, parts of an argument are the issue, the claim, the support, and the refutation. All right, so best of luck on your next assignment.